If your self-talk were a person, would you still be friends with them? That voice, that's not intuition. That's sabotage dressed up like protection. Would you trust them with your dreams, your healing, your story? Or would you cross the street if you saw them coming? Because that's what this is really about. The conversations you have when no one's watching. The words you repeat so often they start to sound like facts. Quiet voice that whispers, this is all you'll ever be. Welcome to The Void and the Flame. This is a podcast for people who are done waiting for permission to change. But before we get into that, I want to be clear about something. You're not going to sit back and just let me talk at you. This is a You're in it with me podcast. Because really, this isn't just a podcast. It's a reckoning. Sanctuary for the wild-hearted, cycle breakers, the sacred rebels with singed wings, the ones who feel too much, carry too much, who've stood in the ashes long enough to know surviving the fire isn't enough. You came here to start something, not just escape what burned you. Because let's be real honest, most of the fires we're running from, we lit them ourselves. That's what sabotage does. It convinces you to burn down your own shelter and then blames you for freezing. The nerve. I'm Rachel, or Ray, a trauma survivor, lifelong question asker, a guide for people who are ready to rewrite the stories that they're trapped in. I'm trained in hypnosis, NLP, emotional release work, trauma-informed coaching, and tarot. Tools I use not to predict your future, but to help you reclaim it. Because healing isn't linear. It's cyclical, archetypal, elemental. And sometimes the only way forward is by burning something sacred to the ground. Now, I use tarot not as a crystal ball, but as a mirror, a deck of 78 archetypes and patterns that have followed humanity through centuries of chaos, rebirth, betrayal, and transformation. It gives us symbols to sit with when language fails. It opens up questions that Google couldn't answer. And sometimes, just sometimes, it says the exact thing your soul's been trying to tell you all along. We'll talk about all of it here. The pain, the shadow work, the gut punch moments of clarity. We'll unpack your inner critic, explore new emotional tools, and maybe even laugh at some of the mess of it all. Because this isn't about becoming some perfectly curated version of yourself. This is about becoming more yourself than you've ever even dared or dreamed to be. So, if you're tired of the same old self-help voices, if you've tried therapy and still feel like something's missing, if you're skeptical but curious, I made this for you. There was a voice in my head that narrated my every move. Not the wise inner voice, not intuition. I'm talking about the one that says, you're too much. And also, you're not enough. Yes, somehow both. The voice that calls me lazy when I was burning out. That told me I was a bad mom while I was sacrificing everything for my kids. The one that whispered, people only pretend to like you. It was cruel, constant, and worst of all, it was convincing. I didn't question it because, well, it sounded like me. Or at least the version of me I had grown used to. Self-sabotage doesn't always scream disaster. Sometimes it whispers, stay small. At least it's safe here. But here's the thing. When your inner dialogue is hostile, it becomes the lens you see the world through. It colors your choices, your relationships, your risks, even the dreams you don't let yourself want. And sometimes you need a fire to shatter the lens. My turning point, it didn't happen during some luxury retreat or perfectly timed sunrise. I'm a moon girl anyways. It happened in my living room, all alone, in a pair of pajama pants that could have been considered a cry for help all on their own. The house was quiet, my phone was face down, and I couldn't hide from myself anymore. I was sitting in the wreckage of another chapter that hadn't gone the way I wanted. And that voice, you know the one, was relentless. You're such a screw up. No wonder things never last for you. Hey, this is just who you are, so why even try? And I believed it, because again, it sounded like me. That wasn't the first time I'd been there. Honestly, I'd visited that mental space so often, I could have gotten mail delivered there. There was the time I lost a job and convinced myself I'd never get another one as good, even though I was grossly underpaid and overworked. The time our relationship ended, and I decided it had to be because I was unlovable or because I hadn't given enough, which is almost laughable coming from someone who overgives, who pours their entire being into the people they love. And then there was the time I made a mistake as a parent and replayed it so many times, it became part of my personal highlight reel of failures. Even though, if I had been willing to zoom out, there was endless evidence that I was actually breaking generational curses, some even in real time. Each of those moments felt like proof that the voice in my head was right, proof that I was exactly as flawed, broken, and hopeless as it said I was. And every time, I felt myself wanting to unpack, set down roots in the pain, because at least it was familiar. Remember, sabotage often hides in whispers, not loud alarms. Recognizing it is the first step to reclaiming your power. Now, that night, a different thought slipped in. If a friend talked to me like this, I'd block them. And I realized I had been letting the worst roommate in history live rent-free in my head for years. That moment didn't fix everything. No single moment ever does. But it lit the match. Earlier in that day, I had met with my therapist, and she had said something to me that really caught me off guard. And it hit me so deeply because it rang so true. And she had said to me, "You always follow through and show up for everybody else. But when it comes to yourself, you're the first one to fail yourself." Talk about calling me out. It was not a pleasant moment, but a moment I needed to see an area of life where I was holding myself back. I always come through for everybody else and never come through for myself. Right now, I want to introduce you to a little tool that really started a lot of the transformation for me. This is something I actually learned back in my time training to be a hypnotist. Now, in this podcast, I call it the rewrite drill. In hypnosis, they use the term reframe. So I'm going to take you step by step through the process. It's 4 simple steps. If you choose to try it, you might be surprised at how quickly things start to shift for you. Step 1, write it down. Grab your phone or a scrap piece of paper, write down one sentence that you've been telling yourself lately that cuts you down. Don't dress it up. Don't soften it. Get the raw, ugly version. Step 2, ask the question. Look at it and ask, is this actually true? Or is this just a story I've been carrying because it's familiar? Step 3, rewrite it. If it's true, rewrite it so it's honest and it still has your back. If it's not true, cross it out like you're cutting ties with a toxic ex and write what's actually real. I'll give you a couple of my examples here that I've used and had to rewrite and reframe in my life. You're terrible with money. That was an old one for me. Stuck in there pretty deep. I have now rewritten that and reframed it to read, I've made mistakes with money, but I've learned and I can make different choices moving forward. Or another one, you're a bad parent. My new rewrite on that is I've had moments I'm not proud of, but I show up for my kids and I'm still learning every day. And this brings me to step 4, which in my opinion, I think is the most important and most valuable step out of this process. Say it out loud. Your brain needs to hear it in your voice. Say it like you mean it. Say it like you'd say it to your best friend. Just say it. You could take this even one step further if you're interested. Keep a rewrites list in your phone. So every time a toxic thought pops up, rewrite it and save it. Now, over time, you'll start to see a pattern, not of your failures, but of your resilience. You can't burn down the lies without noticing them first. Now, at the end of each podcast, I'm going to give you a soul quest if you choose to participate. Just something to help you throughout the week to start to make these small micro changes. Start to take those steps towards rewriting your story and really meeting yourself clearly for the first time. So your quest this week, catch one toxic thought every single day and rewrite it. Even if you don't believe the rewrite yet, even if it feels awkward, even if your brain rolls its eyes at you, because it will, do it anyway. Because you don't heal by waiting until you feel worthy. You heal by treating yourself like you already are. If you're up to it, share your rewrites with me. What are you burning down? What are you rising into? You can find me on Instagram at Starlit Path WC. I'm on Facebook under the Starlit Path Tarot and Transformation. You can find me on TikTok at The Void and the Flame. I will even include my email address down in the show notes. So if you have something you want to share, send it over. And if you have your own story about sabotage, fear, reclaiming yourself, or maybe another topic you want to shine some light on or set fire to, and if you're open to sharing it in this space, send it to me. You might hear it here someday. If you've been told to be quiet, to toughen up, to be easier to love, I see you. I'm not here to carry your weight. That people pleaser in me doesn't exist in that way anymore. But I am here to help you set it down. Your fire was never too much. It was never too little. It just wasn't being fueled properly. Next episode, we'll talk about the root beliefs underneath those thoughts, the ones you didn't choose but have been carrying like they're yours, and how to dismantle them one by one. Until then, tend your flame, feed your soul, because sometimes the most loving thing you can do is set fire to what was never true in the first place. Keep going.